Welcome to FBB Forum. If you like this content, please be sure to like and subscribe via Instagram and YouTube. And I want to thank you all again for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I really appreciate it. I'm very pleased to welcome the beautiful IFBB Pro women's physique competitor, Brooke Pighin. Is that the
Yeah.
right pronunciation for your last
Hey,
name?
nailed it.
Okay, great. Um, yeah, I forgot to ask you that in advance. Brooke has been competing in bodybuilding since 2016 and earned her pro card in 2022. And she also made her pro debut in 2022 at the Texas Pro Show and has competed in 3 different shows last year in 2023. Brooke has an excellent physique, but her abs are especially amazing. Stay tuned to find out more about Brooke's future plans. But it's great to have you here, Brooke. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, excited to be here.
Thank you. Now, we talked a little bit about this before chat or before the recording, but did you have an athletic or a sports background before you started in bodybuilding?
Yeah, I did track and field. Primarily I threw javelin. That's actually how I came from Canada to the USA, was on a full ride. I went to Louisiana State University and then transferred over to Fresno State University and then finished my undergrad and my master's at the University of Washington in Seattle.
Wow, that's
So
very
throwing
cool.
javelin. Yeah.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about you were almost like kind of imbalanced with your body because of your right side, you were throwing the javelin and stuff.
For sure, after a decade of doing track and field professionally, I had a lot of imbalances. And I mean, any of the therapists that I work with, physios, have all been amazed at the fact that bodybuilding has actually helped me bring up my imbalances and correct some of my imbalances that I created throwing for so long. So yeah, it's been cool to see what I've been able to accomplish as far as my physique goes in correcting those things and feeling better, and it actually being a better lifestyle change for me than what I was doing.
That's terrific. Yeah, there seems to be several track and field women that go on to bodybuilding, which kind of makes sense because you almost have a bodybuilding physique to begin with. You already have some muscle going on, and of course,
No, totally.
yeah, that's cool. Now, how did you get started in bodybuilding, and who convinced you to do your first contest?
I had a coworker. I was working private sector healthcare in Seattle, and I was still throwing javelin professionally. And around before the 2016 Olympics, it was a political kind of mess as far as how to get on the national team to go to the Olympics. So knowing that they had changed the rules, and if you weren't top 3 in the world, you weren't going to be on the team and weren't going to get to go. My best finish was 4th place at World Championships. But knowing that it was that much more of a stretch, one place doesn't sound like a lot, but the distance it was. Um, so with that, a coworker kept hounding me, let's do a bikini show. Let's do a bikini show. I was like, a what? She's like a bodybuilding show. And I was like, okay, like no idea what that is, but all right. So finally I caved and was like, well, it can't be any harder than what I'm already doing because track and
Mhm.
field consumed my entire life. I
Yeah,
was wrong. Dieting is way harder. It sucks. And cardio is even worse.
yeah.
But with that, I was agreed to do it. And in my mind, I was like, okay, like what's a bikini or a fitness show or whatever she had called it. I was like, is it like Coyote Ugly? Like, what bar are we dancing at? Turns out there's an entire industry behind it. So that's how I got into it. I did a show and I fell in love with it, and I rolled into a few more within the month that followed the first show, and haven't looked back since. And yeah, it was my way of retiring from track and field and jumping into something else. And then it was supposed to just be for fun, but obviously turning pro has made this another level of fun, call it. And I love the challenge of it. It challenges you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So I do love pushing the envelope and growing in every way that I can. So that's how I got into it, and why I'm still in it today is the challenge of it and getting to grow in every way, and obviously the relationships that I get to make along the way too.
That's terrific. Wow, that so you mentioned you are from California or from Canada initially?
Mm.
Oh, and
Yes.
are you from Canada or born there?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a Canadian citizen.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of good Canadian bodybuilders out there too. So yeah,
There's a couple of, yeah. I've got footsteps to follow, and big footsteps to follow in for sure.
that's true. Now, now I was wondering if you had a fitness role model when you first started, or do you have one now?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like I could always say, oh yeah, Arnold, because Arnold was such a big deal because of what he did in Hollywood and got the notoriety. And although now I know he wasn't the best bodybuilder necessarily, but what he accomplished was second to none. I've always looked up to Dorian Yates. He's incredible. And I think that for bodybuilders, he truly has been one of the best at the way that he's aged out of bodybuilding, from
Yeah.
being the best in the world for so long. I got to hang out with him when I competed in Spain during COVID. So what was that? 2021. And I mean, hanging out with him and just like having meals and talking, getting to know him and his story. I was like, this is incredible. Like it's so cool to see that there is a way to do this and stay healthy and age out of it gracefully and not look like you fell down 10 flights of stairs and aged an
Yeah.
extra 60 years, you know?
Oh yeah, that's true. He's actually looking pretty good for his age, I think, isn't he?
Mhm. He is. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean though. Some of them look like they have been like 10 rounds with a champ or something, or 200
For
rounds with a
sure.
champ. They just look so rough. Yeah, I know.
Totally, totally.
Oh man. Now I was curious, when you transitioned from track and field and you went into bodybuilding, were you kind of nervous getting on stage in a bikini? Because I know it's different than what you would wear, of course, in track and field, and you're
For
being
sure.
judged for your body, not for your skill so much,
Totally,
so
totally. I mean, track and field, I always threw in like my jersey was essentially a tank top, or not a tank top, a sports bra, and then like short shorts.
mhm.
So it's not like it was a huge jump into a teeny weeny bikini that's bedazzled. Different for sure, but in college, on national television, I threw at University of Washington, our biggest rivals, the Oregon Ducks, and the Pac-12 championships were in Oregon Stadium and on national television when they announced who I was, and you step out and you wave for the camera and the crowd and whatnot. In a stadium of over 10,000 people, I got booed because it's mostly Oregon fans. So being booed on
Oh,
national television, like had that happen, or my voice cracked when I yelled or whatever when I threw at World Championships. I think that was 2010. Like just things like that. I think nothing will compare to those moments as far as anxiousness or nerves or whatever. So with competing, like it's for me, it's fun. I love it. I love everything about it. I love getting to perform. I love getting to compete against other people on stage, and I think that's what going from even from figure to physique. It's been a lot more fun for me because I've always known the poses, just from goofing around in the gym with friends. But now to actually get to battle it out with other women on stage, it's that much more fun. Not to mention, I'm just under 5'10", and most of the girls that I compete against are 5'6" or less. So I
yeah.
put my arms out and they put their arms out. And I mean, if I've got a 5'10" wingspan, they've got like a 5'2" wingspan. I'm taking up half the stage.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
true.
is like I find it so much fun. And like you look at the way that Arnold was with the guys that he competed against on stage, battling it out and poking fun at them and whatnot. Like it's all in good spirit and good fun. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I love it. It's not something that makes me nervous or that I get worried about necessarily.
That's terrific. Yeah. Actually, that's interesting you say that, because you actually have a bigger audience for track and field versus bodybuilding, because
Oh,
unfortunately
for sure.
bodybuilding isn't being covered on, national
Mm.
television per se now. And so that's cool. Yeah, that if you had any nerves, it would have been probably with the people booing you in the in the
No,
10,000 person audience
for
there.
sure. All to make a stick fly. I know it's crazy, but I guess that's where with like track and field, anyone in the world, well, generally speaking here, can run, jump, or throw. So the amount of people doing any of those things obviously is a lot more than our industry of bodybuilding. Yes, bodybuilding's growing and is only going to continue to, I hope. But it's different audience for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. The female bodybuilding channel guys pointed out that I believe it was 1991, with the ESPN did a live broadcast of the Ms. Olympia. And it's
Mm.
like, it's been a long time, 30 years or over 30 years, and, nothing like that on ESPN. I do wish that some of those networks would pick up on bodybuilding and cover it again.
Yeah, no, it would be cool. I think that I'm not 100% on this, but I believe I've heard that bodybuilding has gone before the Olympic Committee twice. to become an Olympic sport, but they keep deeming it to be a hobby, not a sport. So with that, it's not measurable the way that sports are,
Mhm.
or what the criteria is ever changing. Like the goalposts are always moving.
Mhm.
Um, sorry, I'm getting a call there.
No
But
problem.
with that, it's something that um, I hope that one day it will be recognized for more than what the broadcasting that we're getting is. I hope that people will continue to take interest in it, and then they'll start putting us onto television, or whoever's competing onto television, because it is remarkable what we are able to do with our bodies. And
Mhm.
in such a short period of time too, and that some of us are able to do it gracefully and not age 60 years in one go.
Yeah.
With that, it's in the medical industry. When I was working in the medical industry, it was cool to see that at like the national obesity conference, some of the speakers were saying, why don't we look at what bodybuilders are doing?
Mhm.
We're trying to get people to lose weight and keep it off. Bodybuilders seem to be able to lose fat and not compromise muscle really efficiently and keep it off. What are they doing that's different?
Mhm.
Higher protein diets or things like that. Like it's cool to see that there is starting to be more recognition and notoriety in different industries.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, kind of side tangent there, but it's
No,
intriguing.
that's a good point, actually. And one thing that I recall back when it was featured on TV, it introduced a lot of people to bodybuilding. So,
Mhm,
and I think that maybe more people would compete if they knew about it or saw it on TV and were introduced to it. So,
mhm.
yeah, I'm a little disappointed as a fan that it's kind of an insular community in a sense.
Yeah,
It really should be out there in the world more, I think,
mhm.
you
I
know.
agree.
Now, I was curious in terms of competing, where and when did you get your pro card? And I bet it was exciting for you to get your pro card.
Yeah, so I got my pro card at USA's. It was, I mean, yeah, that whole day, everything kind of came together. um, everything that I'd worked for, I'd been working at. Like it's a lot of times people don't understand that most people don't do one national show and go pro.
Hmm.
Whether it's that the judges just didn't like your look, whether you didn't compare well enough to the other girls that you're with, so they went with those girls to choose for who was going to be in the top places, whatever it is. So for me,
Hmm.
I think I did about a dozen pro qualifying shows around the world. I did Vancouver numerous times. I went to do Toronto during COVID and it got canceled, so I jumped over to Portugal. I did Portugal again. I did Spain. I did Ukraine. I did Italy. Like I jumped all over, trying to get I did North Americans a couple times, trying to get my pro card. So
Wow.
finally, when I did
Hmm.
USA's, like it's a lot of times you can look at someone's physique and say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
So eventually, you just got to keep chipping away. It's eventually going to go in your favor, I believe, if you work hard enough and work smart enough. But yeah, so for me, it was USA's in 2022, and it was something that I couldn't have been more excited to be with the people that I was. That was there. My coach was there. I worked with Shane Heugly.
Yeah.
So his whole team was there. His wife Tiffany, she was there. We had such an awesome crew backstage.
Great.
And yeah, we got to have a good time, that's for sure.
Wow, that's terrific. In which division? In physique, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I crossed over from figure and did physique. It was interesting because during COVID, I started doing physique just for fun. Because you know what, I was like, why don't I start crossing over and like just put my hat in the ring for fun? So that's what I did. And when I bounced all around Europe, I did two shows at each, or sorry, two divisions at each show, and it was crazy because I was winning my height class in each one, and then taking second in the overall and just missing a pro card. So
Oh,
USA
wow.
is I won my class and the overall. So that was definitely bittersweet and felt like the
Nice.
judges were pushing me more towards women's physique. So that's where I've stuck.
Yeah, bad. Do you think your height uh made you put you at a disadvantage in terms of these pro qualifiers?
Yeah, I mean, my height or my athletic background, I with track and field, I was squatting 455 pounds.
Wow.
So it's like I had the strength and therefore like my legs were pretty built, but getting conditioned enough or um not standing out in an, I hate to say awkward way. But compared to the other girls, if you've got 5 or 6 girls that all look similar, and then you've got one that's like stands out and is kind of the odd man out, they're like, oh no, not her.
Yeah.
So I felt like my height and maybe my imbalances in overall symmetry, because if you're 5'5", to fill in the gaps a little bit different than if you're 5'10".
That
So
makes
Arnold
sense.
was very complete and he was very tall. So with that, once he completed his physique, like he killed it and no one was able to
Yeah,
touch him. So
that's
that's kind of
true.
my aim and my goal is to complete my physique more and more, and try to make myself a standout like that.
Was it kind of nice to ditch the heels too? I bet that was kind of nice.
I actually, it's everyone asks me that. I actually don't mind heels. I
No?
don't mind heels at all. No, that's never heels have never really been a turn off for me or an issue for me to walk in. I know some people really struggle with moving in heels. I'm very fortunate that I didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up wearing heels as a kid, going to church every Sunday. I have no idea.
Oh,
But yeah, it's definitely different. It's been more fun though to get to do muscle poses and battle it out that way with girls on stage.
you're tall enough as it is, but to add some inches, you're like really
Coming in
tall.
at 6'3" or whatever. Yeah, crazy.
Oh my goodness, that's funny
I think
though.
the first time that Shane and Tiffany at North Americans, when I guess it wouldn't have been the first time we met, but Shane looked at me and he's like, I forgot how tall you are as he like looked up.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, when I
Yeah.
saw you at the Olympia, I was like, wow, you were really tall. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you don't expect that when you just see people online.
Exactly, yeah. And it's hard to tell. I think it's really hard to tell sometimes. And the only way you can tell height is when you have
Yeah,
somebody to compare it to, and
for
then
sure.
and you're towering over everybody else. So of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
yeah. um, and I was wondering, if you could talk about some of the other pro shows that you've competed in, and did you have any preference on any of those shows?
Yeah. So at the after my pro card win, I had a photo shoot with NBC News the next day, which is standard. And JM and his wife, I kind of already know them through knowing JM's childhood best friend. So we're talking pretty candidly, and he had asked when I was planning on competing again. I said that I had thought about maybe doing Phoenix or something a few months later, take some time, try and get even more condition, see what I can do. And he kind of started laughing at me, and I was like, what? And he's like, you just won overall at USA's. There's a reason you won. He's like, I don't know why you don't do something sooner. He's like,
Mm,
there's Tampa next weekend, there's Texas the weekend after that. He's like, I don't know why you don't do something sooner. So I was
yeah,
like, oh, like that really kind of took me by surprise. So I thought about it and was like, okay, so jumped into Texas 2 weeks later. And I think I placed 11th. Yeah, I placed 11th at Texas.
okay.
Love the show. That's Freddie and Sheila's show.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
show. Yeah,
yeah, it's a very good show, Battle Out Productions. So then I shut things down for the year after that. And then took an entire year between, which I don't think I had my entire, call it, career of bodybuilding, taken an entire year between shows.
yeah,
So did that, took the time to rebuild my metabolism and do things the way that I think is properly to do them. And um, with that, I think that my results for me were tremendous, personally, because I took that time and took the due care.
yeah.
So I did their show again this last year, and loved it. I placed better this time. So that's all I can really hope and expect for, is to keep getting better and better and improving. And it was my best physique to date, as well. So I did that and placed sixth. And then I think 6 weeks after that, I did Jake Wood's show, The Rising or Wings of Strength, Rising Phoenix.
Yeah.
So I did that, and a week after that, I rolled into Chris Mimes' show, the Legion Sports Fest.
Oh, nice.
And Legions was by far actually my best look to date right now, that I've ever looked and competed as. So as long as I can keep getting better and better, and improving my conditioning and my look and completeness, that's really all I can ask for. So very happy with that. And now, been in an off season since then, and hoping to bring something even bigger and better and more special this year.
That's great. Yeah, you looked really good in 2023. I was really impressed. And and you'd made improvements, I think, over 2022 for sure. Now, I was curious, do you hope to compete this year, or can you say?
Yeah, no, I'm an open book for the most part. I do plan on competing this year. I'm not sure when exactly yet. I feel like that's what everyone says. But
Mhm.
truly, I don't know when I'm going to compete. I would
Sure.
like to compete beginning of summer. So we'll see kind of where things go and how my body changes and develops and responds to what I'm doing. And as long as it goes the way that I plan on it going, I'll be competing, yeah, beginning of summer.
And I was curious, last year, did you get any feedback from judges on where to improve your physique or where they want to see you improve?
Yeah, I was told that I need to bring my lats up a little bit more, especially my lower lats,
Hmm.
which I agree. So that's a huge focal point. And I mean, just come in a little bit tighter from the back. And that's, yeah. So those two things are my primary focuses. And that's why I'm keeping it a little bit tighter this off season than I have in the past. But I also think my body the last year has been in a lot happier of a place than it has been previously, whether that's life stresses or just the way we're doing things. I think it all adds up. So yeah, so definitely looking forward to seeing where we can take things and how my body responds.
That's terrific. Very cool. Yeah, you got the abs covered, I think. You're good there.
I always wait because those aren't the first to come in. So I feel like it's always waiting, and doubting whether or not my abs are actually going to show up. And yeah, I'm fortunate. Luckily, they seem to,
Yeah, definitely. No doubt. Yeah, definitely.
even if it's by the skin of my teeth at the last moment.
Wow, no, your abs are really impressive, I think. I joke that like the washboard manufacturers are going to reach
Yeah,
out to you and they ask you to be a spokeswoman.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's definitely always. I feel like it's always a work in progress and can always be better, but we'll keep chipping away. And
Don't be surprised if they contact you though.
I love it. Love it. Mm.
Um, Now my next few questions are about the Olympia this past year, and I got to meet you there, of course,
Yeah,
and just thought you were super sweet. And I was wondering, did you enjoy the Olympia? And hopefully that you'll compete there soon and qualify. But what
yeah.
was your take on the Olympia?
Yeah, I mean, the Olympia, that everything leading up to Olympia was super exciting. I thought they did a great job in everything they did marketing wise, getting everyone to Olympia. So it was cool to follow along and also cool to kind of dream about what I hope to accomplish in the future here or near future here. Um, Getting to see friends that competed at it in pretty much all of the divisions. That was a lot of fun. I felt like I got to be a part of it in a bigger capacity. The more that I get into the industry, the more you kind of grow in it and embed in it. So knowing the people that were helping run the Olympia as well, that was super cool. Even in like the days leading up to the Olympia while I was in Orlando, got to hang out and spend some time with Jake Wood. He was telling me the
Oh,
plans for what they're going to do when it's in Vegas this next year. So already having
nice.
insight before that Olympiad started as to what the next one's going to be was super cool. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. The weekend obviously was full of lots of ups and downs. Had some friends compete and do well, and had others who should have done well, and others not do so well. So there was a lot of kind of good, bad, and ugly there. But it was definitely an experience I'll forever remember.
Yeah, you're friends with Missy Trescot, and I know that must have been devastating to see her get injured on stage. What was that like seeing that? And then, is she doing okay now?
Yeah, no, that was devastating. That was something that was really earth-shattering. And I think made the whole weekend take a turn that I had never hoped to experience in my life, as I'm sure many people felt. Um, I think Missy and her husband had the worst of it for sure, because that's their entire life together and everything they've worked for together. But I have no doubt that Missy's going to come back from this. She puts out everything that has been happening, what she's up to, and where it's going. She's obviously got a very positive attitude about this and is making the most of it as she can. So I have no doubt that she's going to come back even bigger and stronger than what she's ever been. It's resilience and grit have to meet at the same time. So it'll be fun to see where she takes this and how it goes. But like I've said to anyone who's asked about what she's doing, check her YouTube out or reach out to her personally. She's a very personable person and usually gets back to everyone as quickly as she can. Obviously, a lot of people want her time and her energy. She only has so much to go around. But yeah, I mean, she's doing the best that she can. And I think everyone wishes her the best in her future endeavors within the industry and outside.
Yeah, I do hope she'll compete again. And I could even see her. I don't know if she would be willing to do this, but go into figure and not have to do the flips and stuff. Because it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like fitness is tough with all the injuries, or it seems like there's a lot of injuries in that. But it makes sense with all the jumping and the flips and everything too. So
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I think that it's probably, if not the hardest division there is. But it's been cool to see where it's gone from and the different unique styles that are within it. You've got Missy's full out style and physique to go with it. It's crazy.
yeah,
She could step into, I think, like three different divisions and dominate them all if she wanted.
that's true.
Um, you've got Oksana's storytelling division, or the way that she brings things to the fitness division. You've got Whitney's crazy high energy Energizer Bunny, bebop, whatever,
Hmm.
breakdancing style. Like there's very unique styles within it. And now you have Taylor who's bringing her style to it as well. Like everyone's kind of got their own unique styles in it. So it is a very challenging division. But I've never respected it more than I have, or learned to expect it the more that I've gotten into this industry.
Yeah, I've talked to a few women's bodybuilding competitors. So why don't you go into fitness? And they're like, no, no, I ain't doing those flips.
No, that's something that I think it takes someone's whole life to be able to build up, to be able to compete at that level. And that's why there's only a handful of women in it that are at the top and are staying at the top and forever will be, I think, at the top.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is. And I agree with you. I think it is the toughest of all the divisions because those routines are just so tough. But then you have to show your physique in the bikini, and it's just there's just a lot to it. It's really complicated and not easy. I know that's for sure. Now, you mentioned that Shane Heugly is your coach. I was wondering how long have you worked with him?
Since January of 2017. So
Wow.
for the bulk of my bodybuilding career, I've been with Shane. And I mean, haven't looked back. So everything that we've done has been working, and he knows my body and what works for me, and it's definitely been nice. I think I see a lot of people jumping around coaches. A show maybe doesn't go their way, or they do a pro qualifier or a few pro qualifiers and get frustrated and think that they just need to change things up and do something different. When really, I've never respected more Shane's opinion of, he says no voodoo. It's not that complicated. The consistency, the repetition, that's what it comes down to. It doesn't have to be, okay, you need to do cartwheels 5 times a day and stand on your head before you go to bed for a while and drink water upside down. And then you're going to pull all your water for like 3 days straight and just crank your body full of sodium. And then we're going to do
Mm-hmm.
this and that and then that. Like it doesn't have to be extreme. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
Shane's kind of entire theory or mentality of doing nothing extreme. And if you do extreme things, you're going to cause extreme things to happen. And usually that's the disarray of your body reacting and lashing out and being like, we're out, we're done. Nope, we're not going to
Yeah.
respond anymore.
I understand. No, he is, and that's good that you've stuck with him for that long because there is so much, yeah, jumping around with coaches and I think that having that longevity with a coach is a good thing for sure.
Mm.
Now, I was curious, do you have a posing coach? Because I think your posing is really confident on stage, really flows well.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I work with Kenny Wallach,
Oh yeah.
or Wallach. I always get it wrong. But I've worked with him since 2019, on and off. He's a freaking wizard too. Between Shane and him, and they both work really well together in kind of helping me wrap my head around what I need to be doing to get better when it comes to anything regarding my physique and how I present it.
Okay.
So that's been really cool to see as well. Kenny, literally, I mean, it all depends how I end up looking. And with the changes that Shane and I make throughout the year to bring a different package or a more complete full package, might change the way that I need to pose. You know, my front double bicep shot has been ever changing. I started off posing front on, and Kenny's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Absolutely not."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh my gosh." He's like, how are you almost winning and looking like that?" And I'm like, "Thanks." But she's honest. So, but with that, we then changed it to more of a side pose or a
Yeah.
side kind of twisting pose. And then this last year, we were like, no, go back to front on. Just because my waist looked a lot different, my taper looked a lot different, and the way that I was able to pick my chest up and rotate, things just looked so much better.
Hmm.
So yeah, Kenny's really got an eye for what suits each person's physique best. I always tell people, um, hire him for at least 3 sessions. And I guarantee in the first session, within the first 15 minutes of your 30-minute appointment, your entire world will be flipped upside down and changed for the better.
Wow.
Because he is that good at pulling your best out of you or your best presentation out of you.
That's terrific. Wow, that's great. Yeah, he's kind of a posing guru for sure. And he's been in the industry for a long time, I think, too. So,
Him and
um,
Shane are both quiet people that keep their heads down and aren't look at me over here, look at me type thing. But they both have the reputation they do of being very good at what they do as a result of their due diligence and keeping their head down and sticking to what they're good at.
yes, I have seen them at both of them at different shows, and I can tell the way they work with their clients seems to be, yeah, just a really good style with their clients,
Mm.
and that, yeah, probably helps them stick with some longevity there too, just because they're
Yeah,
because of the way they conduct themselves. So,
for sure.
yeah. We are almost out of time. Um, I was wondering if you don't mind, if you do like a quick bicep flex for me, and then but
Yeah.
talk real quick. I'll mute myself. Um, I'll go ahead and mute myself now and go ahead and say something and then flex.
Yeah, no, happy to. Don't really fit in the frame anymore, but on our way to where we want to go, that's for sure.
That's awesome. And that way we can see what is said on your shirt too. It's we'll squat for
Oh
peanut
yeah,
butter.
we'll squat for peanut butter.
I love that. I think that's hilarious.
Uh,
But thank you so much, Brooke, for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'll include Kenny's and Shane's Instagram below too. So if people want to find out more. And
yeah,
do you have any sponsorships?
I do. I'm with Liquid Sunrays. So with the global side of Liquid Sunrays, I've been very fortunate to have them in my corner and be working with them and have them support me the bulk of my career. For me, I like, in case that's not obvious in my relationship choices with people and people I associate or work with, but everything I
Great.
do is intentional and I want to build a long-lasting, mutually beneficial relationship wherever I go or whoever it's with. So Liquid Sunrays, working with Kenny, working with Shane. Very, very fortunate to have those guys all in my corner. And then I have Blue Star Nutraceuticals, a company out of Canada that works in Canada and the US. Their products are all fully tested. The quality is there. With a master's in health nutritional sciences. Quality is everything to me. So not having any secrecy, I value that. So with Blue Star